Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Sackler, I'd like to ask you some questions about you and your family's involvement in the management of Purdue on the board of directors. According to the DOJ, Department of Justice, they said the named Sacklers as members of the Purdue board exercised substantial oversight over Purdue management. Mr. Sackler, isn't it correct that up until 2018, the Sackler family always had a majority of the board seats at Purdue?
I believe that's true, yes.
So you, as a family, made decisions about all aspects of Purdue, marketing, budgets, financial distributions, didn't you, as a family?
With the help of qualified outside directors and management.
But you had the board seats, the votes to do it. And you served on the board, I understand it, from 2012 to 2018. So you personally exercised influence over the board.
There was a large board, and there were a large number of directors and a split board structure. So I don't know what you mean by me personally influencing things. I don't think I would agree with that.
I think Upton Sinclair once wrote that a man has difficulty understanding something if his salary depends on his not understanding. Let's move on to Dr. Landau. Dr. Landau, according to documents obtained by the Massachusetts Attorney General in 2017, you wrote that Purdue operated with, quote, the board of directors serving as the de facto CEO. Is that correct, Dr. Landau?
Representative, my comment regarding the board acting as de facto CEO was a consequence of the Sacklers owning many pharmaceutical companies around the world and the absence of an appointed global position to look out over all of them. So by default, the governance body was the board of directors for each of the companies, including, but not limited to, the U.S.
And it's the same Sackler family that is refusing to admit personal liability and culpability here. The company has pled guilty, as I understand it, but not the individual members of the Sackler family. Dr. Landau, with outside consultants like McKinsey, it's my impression that they wrote as far back as 2008 that in the U.S., the board of Purdue Pharma is involved in all levels of decision-making in the company on a weekly basis. Another McKinsey consultant wrote, quote, the brothers, the Sackler brothers, who started the company, viewed all employees like the guys who trim the hedges. Employees should do exactly what's asked of them and not say too much. This consultant further noted that Purdue said, as a manager, you get rewarded for pandering to the board. Mr. Sackler, does that ring true with you?
No, it does not.
It's apparently referring to your father and his brothers.
My father only had one brother who's deceased. If you're referring to my grandfather, I can. My belief is he would have been horribly offended by that comment and viewed people who worked for him as valuable, imbued with a great deal of autonomy. And I knowing the people within the organization, I don't think they would agree with that either, like Mr. Landau.
So you paid McKinsey's fine hefty fees for them not telling the truth?
Well, I wasn't a part of that McKinsey engagement. That was done by management. And McKinsey can express whatever opinion they want. That doesn't necessarily make it the truth.
Watching this hearing has been difficult. First, hearing the testimony of the victims of your drugs. And I know that we all are looking for a good solution to pain relief. But folks like Anna Lemke, Lemke, an addiction specialist at Stanford University, wrote a book way back in 2016 called The Drug Dealer MD that pointed out a lot of the issues that we're dealing with in the hearing today. Do you know if any members of the board of directors read Dr. Anna Lemke's book or were aware of that book?
I don't know if any members of the board of directors read a specific book. No.
Have you read it?
I have not read it.
I used to teach health policy at Vanderbilt Business School, and I required all of my students to read it. So perhaps the students at Vanderbilt were ahead of the board of directors at Purdue. That was, again, if you're not interested in discovering the truth, and if your salary depends on your not understanding the truth, then you're not going to pursue the truth.
Gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman may answer his question.
I'm sorry, I didn't take that as a question. Can you rephrase it, please, Congressman?
Let me conclude by saying, watching you testify makes my blood boil. I'm not sure that I'm aware of any family in America that's more evil than yours.